Let's talk about negative mutations. First of all, if you came here to get a tutorial on how to do negative mutations, you will not find it here. You will know why during the video. This is intended to be more of an informational video to the topic, my stance to it, and a rough explanation of the exploit and my wishes and hopes for the future. But if you have never heard the term, negative mutations manipulate the mutation counter in a way that bypasses the 20 mutation cap for new mutations, so it almost doubles your mutation chance up to the end. The one question I get asked the most while making breeding videos is, "Hey Tia, how do I make negative mutations?" Or "Tia, how do I get negative mutations?" And I will always decline the answer. The reason is, you will not find tutorials on this channel how to dupe items, how to DDoS servers, and also not how to do negative mutations. And now your first reaction may be, hold up, those things are completely different. And in their gravity and legality, you may be right. But a duper and a DDoSer will argue just as much that the game is unplayable without duping and DDoSing, which is the same argument I heard from people using negative mutations. I'm very aware this will make people angry and defensive just by how common this exploit is, but before you write slurs into the comments, hear out my reasoning. In a summary, those are bugs and exploits that are used to undermine game mechanics. They're not game mechanics themselves. And while I got the confirmation from the devs that negative mutations are indeed seen as an exploit, I'm also realistic enough to know that for now there won't be any fix for it. And this video is also not about fixing it, but it's more directed to the players themselves who are abusing it, and maybe to explain my opinion about the whole situation. And in the future, I can also refer people to this video when I get asked again. When I played official, negative mutations were the number one thing breeders went for. They were treated as the only real way to get high mutated animals. But from my interactions with many people, some had really no idea how the breeding mechanics worked in the first place and simply just followed what others told them. And I don't blame them, because I was the same when I started playing ARK. No idea about anything. And I just lived by the half-truths that were forwarded to me until I decided to do the theory crafting myself. One of my motivations to make my tutorials was to provide a positive counterpoint that it did not need negative mutations to highly mutate animals. That it was in fact a waste of time really. That most of the time issues with breeding was just a scaling issue. Achieving these results without using exploit felt so much more earned, and I wanted to give a blueprint, tutorial to people who wanted to have this honest feeling of accomplishment. We even made a calculator that explained to you how to scale your breeding groups under different circumstances. It will be extended soon actually to include Gigantoraptor feathers in combination with traits, so bookmark the link in the description and keep an eye on it. But what made me angry was when people ridiculed not only this work, but also people who wanted to play the game fair without exploiting bugs, calling them stupid for not using exploits. And that was where I personally drew the line. I have a lot of respect for breeders and their results, but when I see that their work is a result of an exploit, I mean, in any other game we would discard the result for that immediately. Someone who uses an aimbot in a shooter doesn't get praised for his KD when it comes out that they used an aimbot. So why do we treat it differently in ARK compared to other games? I actually thought about it for a while, and I asked myself, is it maybe because how little we care about the game we're in? Or is it because that the results and the praise of other people is more important than the way to get there? Is the pressure too big to compete with other breeders, to always be on top with alliance? Or is it maybe also because we know there are no consequences for now if we exploit the game? Or is it a self-justified reason? Like, does it take too much of your time to set up an efficient breeding group so that the exploit is the path of the least resistance? Maybe those of you who are exploiting the game this way can give me an insight into it and explain to me what about the breeding mechanic annoys you so much that you rather use an exploit. What is it that justifies it for you? And since I know some of the devs are actually watching here as well, maybe it can give them an idea where to improve the breeding mechanics to make the exploit less interesting to the player, because I am personally a big fan of solutions that do not punish, but make an exploit annoying enough that the actual game mechanic is much more favorable. And yes, while you won't get an explanation here on how to abuse this exploit, because I think normalizing exploits just damages the integrity of the game and undermines the effort of the people who play it fair, And while I will also continue deleting comments about explanations, I want to have a discussion about where the flaws of the breeding mechanic drive people into cheating. Because in my eyes, that's where the real problem is. If people prefer a cheat over a mechanic, the mechanic is flawed. I know I say this more than often at the end of my videos, that I would like to see your opinion in the comments. But with this video, I think it's extra important. Please let me know your stance. Keep it civil and productive, but I'm looking forward to your opinion. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!